The Sheriff of Nottingham, a game all about lying, stealing, and cheating. Well, the sheriff is corrupt, so you're getting it past him. So does that make you corrupt if you're sneaking it past somebody who's corrupt? Anyway, the Sheriff of Nottingham tabletop game is what we're going to be talking about, specifically the Disney's Robin Hood edition. So let's get started. First off, you're all going to pick a character from the classic Disney movie, like Robin Hood, Friar Tuck, Maid Marian. The characters don't actually matter. Like, it doesn't change how many points you get or anything for the game. It's basically just on personal preference. So you'll pick a board. You'll get a little baggie that's color matched to your character. This is for your goods. We'll talk about that in a minute. And there is the sheriff. The Sheriff of Nottingham and his little vulture minions. Each round, a different player will take a turn being the sheriff, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Because another thing you need to do to get started is that you need to take out the villagers who are from the movie. The owls, Otto, the rabbits, the mice, and put them to the side. Because this is basically, in the frame of the game, you're smuggling in items for the villagers. So you can give it to them, and it gives you more points and stuff, which we'll go over in a minute. And to start off with, every player gets 50 gold. This is how you're going to determine points at the end, partially how you're going to determine points, but you'll also be using this to potentially bribe the sheriff or other players to do specific things if they, agree to do it. So you see they have a 1 coin, a 50 coin, a 5 coin, and a 20 coin. Now that everybody's picked their character, gotten their bag, and gotten their starting gold, you'll pick one player to start off as the sheriff. It doesn't necessarily matter because everybody's going to be the sheriff multiple times throughout the game. And you just pick whoever. Now, as I said, the goal is to get goods past the sheriff. Now, there are legal goods like the cheese and the rug and the carrots. And then there are illegal goods like the little bag of money or the rings that you're going to try and get past the sheriff. Now, during each round, all the players who are not the sheriff, will take their bag, and they will put goods in the bag without letting anybody see it. Now, what you put in the bag all has to be the same item, or at least you have to tell them that it's the same item. And you can put 1 to 5 goods in the bag. Now, say you put 3 cheese in the bag. So then you're going to close it up, and you can give it to the sheriff and say, I got 3 cheese. Now, he is going to decide either to check your bag or to let you pass. Now, if he checks your bag and you're telling the truth, he has to pay a penalty. He has to pay this -2 for each item in your bag. Now, let's say you were lying. Let's say you put 2 cheese and 1 bag of gold coins, and he checks your bag. Well, now you're going to be paying him that -4, the penalty, and he'll be taking this from you. You get to keep your cheese, and you don't have to pay any penalty for that. So you get your cheese, but you don't get the bag of money, which these are worth a lot more points at the end. Now, if you take your bag, you put your 3 cheese in it, and you give it to the sheriff, and you say, I have 3 cheese, and he doesn't check the bag, and he just gives it back to you. Well, then you get to open them up, and whatever you had in the bag, you get to keep. Say you had 3 cheese, then you get to put it in your cheese spot on your board, right here, with the other cheese. But if you also had a stolen item, they'll go face down here. Because that way, they know you had a stolen item, but they don't know what it is. They don't know how many points it's going to give you at the end of the game. Now, everyone's going to get to see your cheese. It'll be face up here, so everybody will know how much cheese you have. So basically, you got to be careful about lying your way past the sheriff. You got to be sneaky, and you can't be doing things that are too strange. Now, you always have to say that it's 1 item. You can't have multiple items in the bag. I mean, you can, but you have to tell them you have 1 item in the bag. And you have to tell them the specific number. You can't lie about the number. If you have 4 items in there, you have to tell them you have 4 items. So say you have a rug, and 2 cheese. You tell him you have 3 cheese because you're lying to him, even though it's not a stolen good, but you're trying to get more stuff past him that you're not really supposed to. And then if he doesn't check it, then you're good. If he checks it, he'll take the rug from you because you were lying about it and you have to pay the penalty for it. But say you have 3 cheese, then he's paying the penalty. So it's all about trying to deceive each other to get the most points. Now, where do the villagers come in? Well, the villagers come in when you have 3 of any of the items, other than the stolen items. So say you have 3 of the cheese. Well, then you give it to the mice. It says right here, 3 cheese equals a villager token, which is these right here. Villager token. See how it says 9? That's how many points it's worth. And that's how many points 3 cheeses are worth. You do this, that way at the end of the game, you can get a bonus, which we'll talk about in a minute. But another reason to do this too is it locks in your goods. So say you're trying to sneak something past the sheriff, but you have no gold. You have nothing to pay with. Well, you got to give up your goods then. But if you have these, you don't trade these in. So this kind of saves your goods from being taken. So say you have your gold. I mean, they're not actually gold, but they're called gold. Say you have some gold. You have a bag. You say you have 5 cheese, but you really have 4 cheese and a crown, stolen item. You can give the sheriff, say, 20 gold. I'll give you 20 gold to not check my bag. Now, that really wouldn't be worth it because the crown is actually only worth 15 points. So what you would probably want to do is you would want to give them 10 or even 5 to not check your bag. And then you got extra points. Now you could also bribe the sheriff to check someone else's bag. Say, I'll give you 5 coins if you check their bag. I think they're lying. And if they do, they collect the gold and they check the bag, and no matter what, one of them is going to pay the fine. It's going to help you. Now you can also then basically buy other people's goods. You want someone's rug. You can be like, hey, that's worth 4 points. I'll give you 4 gold for that rug. Now, why would that help you? They're worth the same amount of points. Well, back to the villager token. Say you need another rug to get the 3 to get another villager token. Well, then that'll help you in the long run. Because at the end of the game, whoever's helped the specific villagers more gets these bonuses. So say you helped the mice the most, then you get 15 extra points. And then if you helped them the second most, you get 10 extra points at the end of the game. In the original base game, it was just whoever has the most of a specific item, which is basically the same thing, but you have to get actually 3 of each. So it's whatever. It's kind of more to make it like the movie, like he's helping the villagers. And another thing about the character board real quick, right here it has turn order. Exactly what you do on your turn order. There's like the market where you can discard cards and get new cards, which we did not mention earlier, but that is a thing you can do. At the beginning of your turn, you can discard cards, how many ever cards you want, to get new cards. Say if you need to get some more cheese, you can throw away some stolen goods or a rug or something and try to hope you get more cheese so then you can put more cheese in your bag. Load bags, which we talked about. Take your goods, put it in the bag. Declaration, which is when you tell the sheriff what you have. Inspection, which is when the sheriff inspects your bag, which we've already gone over. The end of the round. Now, at the end of the round, everybody draws back up to 6 cards, which is what you started with. And then the sheriff moves clockwise to the next player. Now, it depends on different number of players to how many times you're sheriff, but the sheriff will keep going around each round till everybody's been the sheriff a couple times, and then the game is over, and then you count up all the points you have, all your gold, all the points from your goods and your stolen goods, and from your villager tokens. And then whoever has the most points wins. It's a very fun game to play on game night. It's for 3 to 5 players, because having 2 players is kind of, one's the sheriff, the other one's then the sheriff. Like, it's kind of hard to do. So it's 3 to 5 players, but it's a really fun game. And once you really, it sounds kind of complicated to begin with, but once you get into it, it's really simple and it's really fun. And it can just cause all kinds of chaos and craziness. I played the original version. It's basically the same thing. It just doesn't have the villagers, but otherwise it's exactly the same. So I would very much recommend checking out both of the games, the original one or the Disney's Robin Hood edition. Yeah, Sheriff of Nottingham, Disney's Robin Hood edition. Very fun game. Should definitely check it out. I really like it. Friends really like it. You want to learn how to play other fun games? You should check out that playlist. And don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos.